the journey to healing, I think, is often much longer than we imagine. You think that not that you think the journey's short, but you know it's long, but you really can't see that far down the road. Maybe the road's very foggy, you can't see what's there.
Right.
And it's only after going on and on and on do you realize how high those highs can actually be, how long that road is actually, how many more levels there are to go. And it's not bad, it's good, because you're doing more and more and you're getting better and better. But for me, I don't think I understood back several years ago when I really wasn't in a good shape how far it could go. And well, there's still more to go, definitely.
Aloha, my beautiful friends. My name is Krista Lakshmi-Dettan and coming to you from San Diego, California. Welcome to Abundance in Action podcast. And I call myself New Time Coach. I believe that each one of us, we have a treasure box inside. And once we open it and activate our inner fairy tales, we can start to manifest them into this reality on our terms. Welcome to this week's episode. And in case you would like to know more about the longer introduction to the guest of this week, please go back to the episode 1, part 1 with this guest, and you can get all the introduction. So right, this episode will jump in with the topic, so there will be no longer introduction here. So enjoy, and as always, please like, share, and comment, and enjoy. So one question which I think I may have, and many also who probably in Estonia are like following you, are you single? And if you are single, why are you still single? You're such a great man. What's going on, Louis?
Let's say it's complicated at this current time.
So
let's leave it at that one. Let's just say
you are exploring options.
Well, look, I've lived here for 10 years. I didn't come here for a woman. I came here because I like Estonia. And I realized that's the most incompatible, inconsistent, unacceptable answer to most Estonians. Like, you come here because you like it? Like, not for a woman. Like, nah, bro, I just kind of like it. It would be easier for me to just say, oh, no, I came here for a woman, and it'd shut most people up. But no, I came here because I like it, and that means I live a life. And I've had, relationships over the years, and it's probably easier right now to just say I'm in a complicated situation, but I'll work it out.
Okay. What would you say? How have you experienced Estonian women? Of course, we can't generalize because we are so different, but you have seen some similar maybe things popping up which you would like to share. How do you experience Estonian women? You have to deal with them with your business and, in everyday life, and you've met many people also, different scenes and different work and jobs and different areas and lifestyles.
Well, I mean, outside of dating and relationships, people are people. I don't think there's any sort of super difference between Estonian men, Estonian women. I don't know, women and men from different countries or something like that. My company, in our office, we have two women and 2 men right now, actually. Yes, maybe bringing a colleague back after maternity leave soon. So we've got a fairly equal gender balance. In our stand-up comedians, we do lack a gender balance, and that's something that we're trying to change. It's harder because with our comedians, you need to, well, not everyone can be a comedian, and you can give all the advantages in the world, but they still have to have the talent and the drive and the want to be that artist. So changing the gender balance in art, I think particularly takes time. So we have a bunch of very talented young ladies coming up through our open mic ranks, and we're giving them as many opportunities to grow as we can. be supportive. We have been running a show specifically for women and LGBT people of color as well, which is, I don't know, some sort of first in Estonia, a particular stand-up show for those communities. And I'm very happy about that as well. Because I understood, if you see a Comedy Estonia stand-up show and you just see a bunch of big dumb boys on stage, well, sure. Look, we welcome anybody in. And I think we're quite a meritocracy. If you're good, you get help. And I really think the women in our group would vouch for that. But I do understand that if you come to a show and you only see big dumb boys on the stage, that you can get a certain impression about our group and about the art form. And I really do want to change that, but it's a long process, but I'm quite committed to it. Estonian women in general, very strong, very independent women, I would say, used to doing things. There is a stereotype, and then again, I don't want to be disrespectful of the Estonian man either. I'd say that often in the past and in the history, it's women who had to take charge here. It's women who had to kind of get things done. Maybe in the older days, take care of the house. And, there is a stereotype from the older days that maybe the father was a bit more of an alcoholic and mum was really the one making everything happen. So there's definitely this strong vein of independence, strength that runs through Estonian women. What other qualities there? It can take some getting to used to as a foreign man. To any Estonian, not just Estonian women, any Estonian. It's because, see, Americans and Australians, right? They're all about the first impression. Oh, you got to look good on the first impression. The first impressions are important. No. Estonians are about the second and the third. First time you meet an Estonian, they're like, they're looking at you, they're quiet, they don't say much. But second and third time, they're talking to you and they know you now. And so I think it especially if you're a foreign guy, you're trying to meet an Estonian woman, maybe trying to date an Estonian, you have to just let them warm up a bit. It's not necessarily going to be like you expect with a woman from America or something to be really straight up with the emotions straight away. So I think there's some cultural things to get adjusted to rather than it's just an Estonian thing, not necessarily a woman thing. I think that.
And knowing Estonian history too, because I've worked so closely and deeply, especially with so many Estonian women, it's also, with the Second World War and men were like taken away or sent to Siberia and all of these things. Later years, men went to other countries to work. So women were left behind oftentimes to take care of everything. And it's also, I think, which is coming to me like energetical message or stuff, during the Second World War and also later after we were occupied by Russia, we had this, it's almost like invisible, but it's still, you can feel it, it's present there, that there is this cultural carefulness, I don't know who I can trust, of course, we don't have KGB anymore, but, people are still like, I don't know, like, maybe someone is spying on me or like, and it's energetical, it's there. You just like, it's so like, you almost like feel like you got it with, your mother's milk, and then there's nothing you can really do about it unless you like consciously like become aware, like, oh my God, this is really holding me back and this is stupid and it doesn't serve me anymore. And then you start to like release it. And I think that's probably also what you are sensing there as a foreigner. And when I brought Michael, my husband, to Estonia, so he was so shocked the first time a couple of years ago. I was like, what's going on here? You have all these beautiful women. They all so independent, so like educated, taking good care of themselves, and they don't have a good relationship. Like, what's going on?
I have a little bit of a theory about that, actually.
Okay, cool. Let's hear it.
Let's see. I don't know if look, I'm not a psychologist here. Let's keep in mind I'm a comedian when I start saying these things. But I've always thought that there was something in Estonian women that something switches around the maybe mid to late 20s. It used to be earlier. Now it's getting a bit later. I don't know, mid to late 20s, 30. I'm not sure. Something like that, right? Maybe even earlier. Is that Estonian women are super independent. I don't need you. I'm doing my own thing. I'm making it all happen. I'm studying, job. I can do all of that. And then at some stage, the biological clock goes off like an atom bomb over Hiroshima. Boom. And the social pressure kicks in, and there's a 50 years of communism kicks in. And all of a sudden, it's I need to get my hands on the closest dork around me. You're here. You, sir, you Estonian guy, you want to live within the borders of the Republic of Estonia? You'll do. And then they grab him. So, yeah, I could see a change. Anyway, I'm exaggerating for humor, but I definitely was noticing some change in my friends. Certainly, we all grow a little older and our biological clocks kick in. But, it's a tough thing because for all of us in this country, and you've escaped it, Crystal, all of us, we have a small gene pool and a small dating pool. You can get to the end of Tinder in about 17 swipes in this country. There's not an endless supply of suitable partners around. And I think it's an interesting factor.
Yeah. And that's like, I share with you, my listeners have heard that, but that's one of the reasons why I left Estonia. I actually traveled consciously. I was so desperate. I was looking for my Mr. Right. I traveled to 30 countries. I was like, where the heck is he? Like, almost like, give me that man, And then after some time, I understood like this is the least like working strategy. I have to just like let go. Like if I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life, I know at least I'm in love with my work and what I do and how I can help people. I have that. So if I don't have the man, that's fine, and I put it on the side. I was like, okay, I'm done with it. Mm-hmm. And 1 month later, I was in the Mexican village, like fishing village. And he sails in with his white sailing boat. And then, of course, he was in the mess. I was in the mess. I was not looking. He was not looking. And then we meet. And I'm like, oh, my God, I think he's my guy. And then he's like, oh, something is going on. It took us a year to figure out and finalize our past. But this is how we met. An Estonian girl in the fishing village in Mexico and a Southern Californian guy, is like, what are the odds? And none of us, both of us, we were not looking. And here we are, married and co-creating businesses and stuff. So it sounds like a fairy tale, but that's happening if you choose it. So if it's not enough, you can go out.
Sure, that's it. Well, that's it. But I'm just as trapped as any other Estonian now. People are like, you can go home. Well, sure, but I ain't lived in Australia for 15 years. My business, my friends, my everything is here right now. So I make the best you've got. And I'm trying to grow as an individual myself, to learn to accept love, learn to accept people into me as well. That's something that I've struggled with, had a lot of struggle with. As successful as my life and my creativity, my personal life has not been as successful over the years. And I'm an only child, I'm kind of pretty emotionally closed off. And to learn how to accept people in, to learn to not put up those barriers. And it's an ongoing process, and it's hard, and it takes it's hard. It's taken a lot of failures, and I've screwed up a bunch of shit over the years, and I'm not really proud of my retarded emotions and the ways that has set me back in life. For example, one of the benefits of Estonia is that we have a great healthcare system here. And in this country, we all have public healthcare. And under that public healthcare, we are eligible to a certain number of subsidized therapy sessions with a certified therapist. And that's what I do. You know, I'm on the healthcare and I get those subsidized sessions from the healthcare. And I think it's a great thing. And it's definitely becoming in Estonian society more acceptable. The first time that I ever thought that I needed to talk to somebody, I was living in Estonia about 12, for a little while, for about, this is something about 11 or 12 years ago. I was living here and I was having problems with the winter, dark, always with the relationship problems. And I just couldn't find an English speaking therapist, someone who could do that for me. And now over the last couple of years, 5 years ago, I was seeing someone. Now again, I think it's I'll admit something I have to do. I need to go see a therapist. I think should be more normalized. And my point is, that those things are readily available in English now in Estonia. And for me, that's a great thing. And I think it's a great sign of the evolution of Estonian society that it's in English, and that's a really kind of much more normal thing.
Yeah. And one thing also, as I stopped my chase for Mr. Right, I really looked deeply into myself and like, okay, so what is it I am looking for here? And what is it I have done which has not obviously been working? So when I looked back, I understood that myself and many of the men I met, what was going on was that, we are so like set so often, like what are we looking for and what kind of person we want to meet. So once you meet someone, it almost felt like that person was taking their picture of who they want to meet and then putting me into their frame. And I was doing the same with them. And it never really worked because then I didn't allow that person to be who they were. And also the opportunity to grow and figure out, what's actually there for us in an open way couldn't even appear. So I completely let that go and started to look into myself, like you are saying now, and like understanding that there are patterns inside of me which I have to change and take responsibility, and then the change can come. And
one of the things. That? How did you at a practical level? Was it that you first identified that, and then you tried to be conscious of when you were doing those behaviors, or what were some of the sort of? Because look, that's exactly where I'm at right now, and I'm just wondering what you might have done.
Yeah. My process was one of the first things I realized was that I had been going against myself and not taking care of myself. So in relationships, so I was so in need of love and acceptance and all of that. And then I jumped into relationships and I didn't really clarify what I was looking for and what were the things I needed and how and so on. So what I did, I wrote down something I call a self-declaration list for myself. Like, okay, so in case I'm going to date a guy, so I had so many negative experiences with married men. So I put there that, if I meet a married man, then they need to get yes, okay, for their partner to meet me as well. Because I've tried several times also to be in polyamory relationships, so several relationships going at the same time. So if some person who is married is interested, they have to get a yes from their partner, and then there will be no secrecy. Everything will be transparent. I know where we are. And that was a huge game changer because then also, if that person said, okay, my partner is not okay, and they were really interested in me, so I said, okay, so if you're really interested in me and you see a future with me, I want to see your divorce paper. And that was actually the case when we met with Michael, because he was getting out from the last marriage, which was 23 years. And suddenly her partner was unfaithful, and he accidentally found a picture of her kissing another man, which was somewhere in the cloud, wasn't supposed to be even found. And it was a shock for him because he's a good man, he's a kind man, and they had a good relationship, and out of the blue, like kaboom, And so it took time for him to figure these things out. And then when we met, I was kind of a rebound and backup. And then I was like, no, I'm worth more. I'm a queen. I have so many good qualities, so I want to be the number one for the man. So I had to realize that inside of me, and then I could also tell the future partner that this is where I am and this is what I'm looking for. And then I said, if you're interested in me and your old one is done, I would like to see your divorce paper before we proceed to more intimacy and stuff. So, and that was what he did. And then we took it to the next level. And while this was going on, I actually was invited into Al-Anon. People who don't know what this is group which is part of like AA group. You go there if you have had experiences in your family or in your partners who have had drug issues or alcohol issues and so on. And that was my case, that my parents were both alcoholics. I had from Estonia, that was how we grew up, in the late 70s. So I had copied so many of the survival mechanism, emotional mechanisms in my body and in my system, that all of my relationships were in the end like crashing because I didn't know how to handle it. And I started to enable my partner. I attracted so many drug addicts and alcohol issue people and so on. So I realized I have to work through that as well, like to understand how this disease has actually, influenced me and my life and my patterns. And that's what I did. I really took it seriously. I went deeply in. Michael even came to several of the meetings. I was in Puerto Vallarta in Mexico at the time. So they had English speaking groups, and I started to go there every week and really take it seriously, going deep and understanding like, oh my God, I had no idea. I had worked with myself 20 years as a therapist and, coaching and so on. And I still was so messed up. I was like, I couldn't believe it. And then the next step from there was actually, once I was clear what I want, also one huge thing which I put into my self-declaration, I put there, when I meet the guy or a woman, because I'm bisexual too. So when I meet the person, I want to get to know them really well before I jump into the bed. Because once you jump into the bed, your chemicals take over and you're not really, able to think clearly anymore. So I want to get to know them at least a month or two without sex, like really get to know them. If they last that long, they are the people I want to stick with. If they don't last, then okay, so that's probably not my gig.
And were you, Crystal, making that clear? Because that can be confusing for a guy. She's like, does she like me? Am I just hanging around like a loser? Like, were you able to communicate that?
Yeah, I did. And what was really funny, once I put that sentence into my declaration, what happened was universe started to just bombard me with all kinds of guys who wanted to just, meet up and have sex with me. And I had to really test myself and say like, no, this is my new agreement with myself. And this is what I'm doing. So if you're interested to get to know me more and see what's here, you are welcome to hang around. If not, bye-bye. So find yourself someone you can have a one night stand. I'm not the girl. So I'm done with that way. And then also realizing that I didn't just want a man. I wanted, a smart man who I could co-create with and be connected on every possible level, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, and also business wise. I had tried so many business projects in Estonia, in Norway, in Mexico, now in United States. I wanted someone who knows business well. Like you were saying, artistic type. I'm like complete crazy artistic type, like hippie style, and then I even sometimes was looking like how I managed the business, because it was just like, even when Michael came in, it's like, okay, show me the spreadsheets. I'm like, what are spreadsheets? So here it was like, we are co-creating and coming into that, wow, like I brought that strong spiritual intuition, what's good, what do people need right now, and Michael brought in that, business, like you were saying. So kind of like marriage made in heaven, you have both strong feminine and strong masculine and coming together. So but even with Michael, once we started to get to know each other, we were like, I felt like we had to do like a love internship to really like test it out, whether we work together, are we like compatible. So while living in the same cultural center in Mexico, we tested each other. We did some co-creation project in the local community center and figured out like how these things were like going. And after this showed that, okay, this really works, we sat down and we wrote a 5-page agreement with each other. What is it we are looking for in a relationship, how we are responsible for things which are our responsibilities, and how we are going to communicate, all the necessary things about the money, practical things. We wrote it all down and then we signed. And from that day on, we actually went back to that agreement once a year and then went through if we needed to change something. And everything is clear. And it made me feel much more secure and safe than the marriage or the wedding ring, because everything has been clarified. We are clear, like, this is who I am, this is what I want. And then if something changed, we'll just put it into the agreement. So that has been my path.
And it's a very powerful thing you were just talking about, this agreement. I think it's something not many people would do. And I can see the sense behind it. I can see how there are times in my life where something like that would have helped to work through it or to be clear about something. That is very interesting.
And I also realized so many times, especially in Estonian culture, that it was like this, I think it's the generational thing, the old way, like we just I assume that you think or you need, and then it's just all this mess of assuming and presuming, and I'm thinking, and then I have no idea what the other person is like, actually needing or wanting. And then once we had this open communication, like I told like Michael, like, listen, I've had so many relationships. I'm done with this, like jumping ship from ship to ship, and I want to co-create. I want to co-create a huge something, And if you are the guy and you see a potential, then let's do it. If not, then that's fine. No hard feelings, And we just go our ways. And he jumped on board, and it has been an amazing journey, like in so many ways. I could have never imagined, like, there is a guy even like him, because Michael he grew up in Santa Barbara, and his dad was the manager of Baltimore, which is like the Four Seasons right now, but he was there, like hanging there all the time. So he learned a lot about politeness and consideration and all of these things, which I'm sorry, there are those Estonian men, but none of the Estonian men I had never gave that to me. And when I met Michael, like, I was swept off the feet. So that was amazing. So
it's nice that you managed to do that. I think that you've also outlined some very practical things that people can do to, it's certainly something. I mean, that contract thing, it's something I'm going to give some thought to in whatever form that might be. That can be customized. These ideas, obviously, they're not exactly for everyone, but some version of that general idea does sound like a fascinating one that I'm going to, I could see how these things, and to be more clear and, so.
And I also believe that, you are such a powerful man, Louise. Like, if you get the right woman next to you who is also maybe even can co-create with you, like, your business will go even bigger and stronger, because you have that outside feminine who is there. And in my case also, I'm a much better businesswoman now. I even have, schedules and calendars and Excel sheets and stuff I didn't have before. And when I realized, oh my God, this makes my life easier. Why the heck didn't I use it before, And I even, studied secretary work in Estonia for 2 years. And I think that's one of the bases which has helped me to cover and go through with lots of business stuff for years. But they didn't teach us time management, like time management. Come on, like this is the most crucial thing about anything, So here you go. So
yeah,
I
think
really hope.
yeah, with that, I was also interested in the earlier part of your story, because you said that you found it difficult that your childhood experiences, you could see how they were being reflected in your adult relationships, and for you that was growing up in a family with alcohol abuse, and that led you to either have destructive patterns yourself or be attracted to those with destructive patterns. I can see within myself that, look, I don't know if mom and dad you're watching. I'm sorry for putting everything across here, but my mom and dad were lovely people, lovely people, but we do have emotional connection problems. We do have a difficulty to open up emotionally to one another. And that did lead me to be a bit closed off myself. And that has led me, and I can see now there is a pattern to being continually closed off. And I think I'm fine. I'm fine. What's the problem? I'm all right. But I'm not getting any closer. If I do have this goal to form this longer relationship, this relationship that enhances two people, I'm not really proceeding towards it. And okay, so the point was that you were unable, you're saying you were unable to accept in that love or accept in love from people because of the problems that you had from your family. And that's kind of where I feel I'm at right now. I'm sort of starting to dig to the bottom of this, that I'm pushing people away. I'm creating tension where there isn't tension. And it's so unconscious that I'm not, I write, I think, I analyze, and it still has come so slow to me. And I think for me, it sounded like for you, these the sessions, the family AA, I've heard of that before. It sounds like a positive thing. I'm trying to talk to my parents more, trying to connect with them. And for me, I think for many years, I harbored some difficult emotions toward them due to that environment. Look, my teenage years, there was a lot of yelling in my house, and it wasn't fun. And I think I harbored a lot of anger towards them. I harbored a lot of, resentment at that time, and could say like, well, I'm fucked up and I don't have a good relationship because I never saw one, and I wasn't taught how that is. So, and for many years, I wanted answers out of my parents. I was like, come on. I need you to wise up on this. I need you to level with me. I need you to tell me. And it was, because I was angry, and it's almost like I was going right down the middle at them. And this was not working. This was not the way to get people to admit to the difficulties they've had, to the emotional problems they've had, certainly for people who are already a bit closed off. And I had to admit that I'm not going to get, at first I had to say, I'm not going to get that resolution out of them. Like, I'm not, they're not going to say sorry to me. They're not going to talk about what happened there. And I'm just going to have to live with that. And I had to accept that. But then I started to just think, all right, I'm going to talk to them. Because if I don't talk to them, they're on the other side of the world. They're, we've all got only so many years left, all of us. I better just talk to them. And so I started to just talk to them, and I didn't think it would happen, but just so gently and so slowly through those conversations do I feel like something is coming out. And it's almost like, rather than attacking down the middle, I'm coming around the side a little bit. I'm just coming at them gently around the side. And it's certainly a process, but I feel like it's getting there, not being so blunt, because you can already see in me, I'm energetic. I'm going to tell you right down the middle exactly what I think. And skills of subtlety are something that have not come easy to me in my life. And I do feel that part of my healing process and the way that I'm going to be a better person in my relationships is to keep this very subtle healing with my parents just through conversation, and just keeping it up regularly. So yeah, it's healing, trying to heal that initial difficulty that you have, trying to heal that and then move forward. But it's not at all obvious how to, you had for years not knowing how to patch that bit up for you, like that basis. So it takes a while.
Yeah, I so appreciate for you to open up and share this so vulnerably, because for a man, it's a huge thing. And when I look back at my story on that level, you are so lucky that your parents are still alive. Both of my parents are gone. My dad died of liver and lung cancer, was gone within a week, just almost 10 years ago now. And my mom, her body was found by the river. No one knew like what happened. So that was how they were gone. And as this happened, I realized, alcohol is bad. I quit like drinking any kind of alcohol. That moment when my mom was found, and I was like, okay, I'm done. But when this disease is inside of you, when you quit alcohol or when you quit other things you have been, like disease-wise attached to or dependent on, they will find other ways. Like in my case, it came into my eating habits or emotional eating or relationship or sexual addiction or whatever, different ways it was like trying to get into me and into my life. And when I started to look deeper into it, what was really fascinating to me, and if we have parents here listening, this is something they can do for their children. The first 6 years, kids are actually like sponges. They just take in everything what's around them. They have no filter. Their subconscious just takes in whatever comes in. And the first 6 years I was living with my dad and mom, they were still together, and all they did was drinking. It was very common thing that I was in the kindergarten and I was left there because no one remembered to come and pick me up, and think of abandonment issues like starting. Or the other time, me and my sister, we were left at home. We lived on the second floor and we were locked in alone. And then we wanted to go out and we jumped out of the window, second floor. It's like, oh my God, like
some Soviet shit.
Yeah. And, stuff like that. And then as I started to look deeper into it, I came over to, as you study anthropology, you start to like see the world and you start to see universal things in people and cultures and so on. And one of the things I came over was the Jungian theory about the inner child. So I started to work with the inner child. And then later, I actually connected with my inner woman and inner man. And I started to really communicate with them. So the inner woman is someone who is connecting with your divine feminine, your intuition, your ideas, all of the stuff with the feminine stuff. And even you as a man, you have an inner woman, And then the inner man is the structure and the business guy and the schedules and Excel sheets and, all that. So my inner woman started to really, it almost feels like, what are you talking about? Like invisible friends, Crystal? Like they became real. And that was like the other tool for me to start to have these inner conversations and also have it in such a healing way that I actually started to slowly, step by step, come out of it. And the moment when Michael met me now 5 years ago, and the person and the queen I am today, it's like day and night. I was this, it's almost like a savage woman and like so like to extremes and drama and like all of this. And now I'm just like this mature woman who is like just looking at things, or if people are like, emotionally like having their raptures or whatever, I'm just like observing, taking my moment, maybe even like taking a time out and coming back, and they're like, what happened to you, Krista? so so this is the way, like, I think looking into deeply into yourself, whatever way works, whether it's talking to a therapist or working with your inner family, um, is the way. And as I was going into it, people, my clients, started to ask me, like, Crystal, can you teach me how you do this? Because it seems like it's working in your life and you're making so many miracles happen. And then I started to create inner family coaching program, which has been now going for 4 years. And people sign up for, every inner family has a member has 1 month. So it's a 4 months program. They go through it and their lives change, like on every level: sexuality, relationships, health, life mission, and abundance. Everything goes into a new level. And that's, I think, what we are here to talk about today: abundance in action, looking deeply into yourself and see what are those treasures. Like in your case, you started with IT and then you realized, oh my God, I have the comedy guy inside of me. I can be the talent manager guy. And then, wow, I can actually make money with those things. So you put it all into works, and now your life is abundance in action. You are example for all of us that, even as an Australian, you can make it work in Estonia, not even speaking the language. Like, how is this even possible?
Yeah, just do it. Yeah, you could just make it happen. But thank you for those kind thoughts. And it certainly is a long journey for all of us. And the journey, I have a suspicion as well. I understand we need to wrap it up soon, probably, but to not to go on and on and on. But the journey to healing, I think, is often much longer than we imagine. When we're in those times, like maybe you were saying, like 5 years ago or a little bit more, you think that not that you think the journey's short, but you just, it's long, but you really can't see that far down the road. Maybe the road's very foggy, you can't see what's there.
Yeah.
And it's only after going on and on and on do you realize how high those highs can actually be, how long that road is actually, how many more levels there are to go. And it's not bad, it's good, because you're doing more and more and you're getting better and better. But for me, I don't think I understood back several years ago, when I really wasn't in a good shape, how far it could go. And well, there's still more to go, definitely.
Yeah, and thank you. That's again, we come back to that patience thing, and accepting your own humanness, that things take time and you have to be patient. And the consistency thing too, like with your business, the Comedy Estonia wouldn't be what it is today if you hadn't been consistent, right? And patient, and all of these virtues there. So thank you so much, Louise, for your time, for your insights, and also amazing presence. Like, we need more men like you in Estonia. Definitely. I'm so glad you are there and doing your job and creating your little raptures with little comedy and everything you do. So before we wrap it up, I have one more question. So let's say your time has come to end on this planet. What's the legacy you would like to leave behind?
I mean, I guess literally, I hope that my legacy is that Estonia has an ongoing and amazing stand-up comedy scene. And you might go, well, what do we care about stand-up comedy? It's. I believe stand-up comedy is a hugely important art form. It's a free expression. Anyone can stand on a stage and communicate to 10, 50, 100 people, uncensored message of whatever your thoughts might be, the world, life, yourself, politics, as long as it's funny. As long as it's funny, you have this free. I don't censor comedians. I don't look at their scripts or something like that. And I think that is a wonderful art form. I think it's really important to a society as it grows up, that there's this place that people can have this free expression. And we're trying to make sure that what we do here is bigger than me, bigger than the rest of us right now. And we're definitely we think of our whole careers. How can we go from here until the final days? And how can this entity and this program and unit that we've built, how can this outlive us? And that's what I hope is my legacy.
Yeah, I actually, that's an amazing thing. And I think Estonia needs it so much. I actually just got the thought, like, I don't know if you have thought of it, but maybe you guys should talk to Haigekassa in Estonia so that they could prescribe, Comedy Estonia to their clients. I mean, everyone in Estonia needs more laughter, right?
Look, we'll be happy. People just come buy a ticket for the show. Come buy a ticket. It's only like 10, 15 euros. It's not very expensive. Yeah. And that is the easy way to get what the doctor ordered.
Yeah. So how can people find out more about you and Comedy Estonia?
Sure. If you're in Estonia, you probably know what's going on anyway. You know how to find Comedy Estonia online. You can find me, zezeran.com. Just do a Google, Louis Estonia. You'll see me. And the different things that we do. I'm not too shy. I'm not too hard to find.
Yeah. And what's your last message to our viewers and listeners?
My last message to you guys. Just take a moment to consider the other person's point of view. In the world today, everyone's yelling at each other. Everyone's like, nah, you're wrong, I'm right, da-da-da. Ask yourself every day, how can I take that step back and detach from this moment and think about what they said? And maybe they're wrong, but maybe there's something right in what they said. Maybe they're not as annoying as you thought. I think that in today's, and particularly online with the social medias and all of this, it's amplifying everything. How can you detach and calm down and consider what the other person says a little bit more?
Yeah, that's such a good point. Thank you so much, Louise. And I wish you all the best with all of the programs and projects. And I can't wait to see you and meet you in person and introduce my beautiful king and come to your shows.
That'd be lovely. Anytime. Thank you for the podcast, Crystal.
Yeah. So, and all the viewers and listeners, we had enough material for 2 episodes. So this will be very exciting. And please listen. And also comment, share, and leave the beautiful review if this really touched and inspired you. Until the next time, be amazing and be aloha. Thank you.